Christian Scott is on his way to join the Mets. That and a whole lot more coming up on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. We are brought to you by Prize Picks. Use promo code ROTOPOD for a 100% deposit match. I'm your host, Clay Link of RotoWire, along with FSWA Hall of Famer Todd Zola. And Todd, Christian Scott is the talk of the fantasy world. We already have a comment in the chat about Mr. Scott, wondering if he is a must-add. Really good numbers for him down at AAA. 0.71 whip, 36 strikeouts. Did have 7 homers allowed in his 5 starts down at AAA. But what do you think? Are you excited about Christian Scott joining the Mets rotation?
Yeah,
or at least getting a spot start.
Yeah, and yes, I am. And I don't know if they primary, but one of the things I've seen people say is, well, they got Peterson coming back, and they got Senga coming back, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they also have Jose Budo and Chaminea, and so if Scott pitches well, I think he's in the rotation. I don't think it's an audition, but I don't think it's an automatic 1 or 2 start and go back home. Home being minor leagues, I don't think doesn't have to go back. So we'll see. And he's a little bit older. I mean, we're talking about these 20 and 21-year-olds lately, right? He's 24. He'll be 25 in a month and a half. So I don't think innings are as much of an issue, et cetera, et cetera. So I think this is a trial. Now, next week, he's not a 2-start guy. We don't get to talk about him, but he's home against Atlanta.
That's tough.
It's tough, but it also is a good test, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and if we talk about this with James and Eric on the XXM show, so if you heard me talk about it there, I apologize. You're going to hear it again. If that lowers the cost this weekend, I'll take that. In the NFBC, I don't have to start him. Tout Wars, Labor, you do. But in those leagues, if that lowers the cost, all right, I'm faced with one home start at the best pitching park in the league against one of the best offenses. But the Mets aren't going to leave him out to dry, are they? They're not going to. It's not going to be a 9-run 3-inning game.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for that discount. I'll take that. I'll hope people are a little shy, and if you see it won't happen, TGFBI can again because you can sit them, but in places where you're forced to start them, etc. I think it's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, he has been pretty darn impressive, and while manager Carlos Mendoza wouldn't commit to him sticking around beyond the 1 start this weekend at Tampa Bay, I think there's a good chance, as long as he holds his own, that he sticks around, and Adrian Hauser probably bumped from that rotation. Adrian Hauser's been brutal.
Right.
And just one last thing. Just to reinforce what you said, if that short-term outlook does lower his cost, I mean, and maybe he has some struggles in his debut. I think, looking longer term, this is a nice ad.
Right. And I mean, this is a team that could go to a 6-man, even when the hurt guys come back. Luis Severino's their best pitcher, and you almost want to have him on an extended rest. You don't care if Jose Quintana loses a start here and there. So I think if as long as Scott holds his own, I think he's got himself a job.
What about Joey Loperfido? Mario Joseph Loperfido called up, and look, I don't know if he's going to get a ton of run at first base or if he's going to, more so in the outfield, but a lot of power. Do the strikeouts concern you? You've seen a lot of guys struggle. It's an incredibly difficult game, as we always say. What's your confidence level, I guess, with Joey Loperfido?
Well, considering Jackson Cherio and Jackson Holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you have to be cautious. I think it's a little bit telling that, was it yesterday? Yeah, last night or yesterday afternoon, the Astros faced their first lefty since Abreu voluntarily went down to their Florida rookie affiliate complex, and it was John Singleton who was in the lineup against lefty on lefty.
And homered, I believe. Yes,
right. Well, he homered against a righty reliever, but he was
Oh,
1 for 2 with an infield single against the lefty, and then Leperfido was on the bench with Mauricio Dubon in left field. So, all right, we have to make these judgments all the time with our lineups and everything else. Does this mean that Leperfido and Dubon are in a platoon? I guess until shown otherwise, that's what we have to have. We have to assume that Leperfido is going to be on the bench versus lefties, and Dubon will get the at-bats. So, and Leperfido's hitting 7th or 8th. So, my excitement has waned a little bit with Leperfido in anything fewer than 15-team leagues because he's the platoon player. And in a 15-team league, it's now a matchup play.
sure, yeah. I've been shocked on that team just by how bad Alex Bregman has been for the Astros. It's been kind of baffling, especially in a walk year. We love that walk year narrative a lot of times.
Well, or
I
love
do
to ignore it.
Yeah, it's been
we love
bad
to ignore it. Gleyber Torres the same way. Didn't they both hit their first home run within the past week?
Yeah, I mean,
and
definitely on both. Yeah.
And they both, even though the results of my piece this week about home run per fly ball and the reduced distance was kind of inconclusive, Torres and Bregman are both among the group that have a fairly low average fly ball distance, and it's really depending upon the flight of the ball. And I think one of the reasons they're both powers down is because the ball's flying 2 or 3 feet less than it did last year.
Well, the top pickup in the Stake League last night, the RotoWire Stake League, was Tyler Black of the Milwaukee Brewers. Black called up on Tuesdays, got hits in both of his first 2 games, 3 for 7 with a couple doubles. And James Anderson of RotoWire has him as the number 4 ranked prospect in the organization. It seems like maybe they are kind of done with Jake Bauers, and so maybe Black gets an audition here. And look, there's not a ton out there this week, so I could see him, being headlining a lot of fabs for a lot of leagues.
Right. Now, I heard James ranting on the radio that Jake Bauers is in left field or right field over Jackson Chourio again today. So,
Yeah.
I don't, you're just joking about Bauers. No, I agree. Bryce Terang has pretty much solidified a spot. So this moves Joey Ortiz into more of a utility, unless Black plays a lot of first base, which he did in the minors, right? So Joey Ortiz can stay at third, and Black could be playing some first base.
Yeah.
So there's ways to get him in the lineup. Again, though, we have to temper our expectations with all of these prospects. If the top guys struggle, so should the next tier down, or at least we have to be aware of it. I've been on Black sort of as someone who figured Milwaukee, everybody was, that the Black would eventually be called up. And so now's the time.
Yeah, and again, there wasn't a lot out there in this league, and it just feels like a little bit of a lighter fab week looking around at my other leagues and the free agents there. So I do expect Black to get a lot of attention. Garrett Cooper was picked up, mostly, guys plugging holes in their lineup. But now with Boston, your Red Sox, and they lost Tristan Casas, and they've been hit pretty hard by injuries. So do you see Cooper maybe playing more than some people expect?
Not anymore, because they also picked up Dominic Smith.
Oh yeah, they did grab Dominic Smith.
There's a lefty-righty platoon potential anyway. I don't think either of them stands out from each other defensively, and I think Cooper will play a little more than a strict platoon. There's still some DH spot with Masataka Yoshida on the IL. So I think
facing the possibility of surgery for Yoshida.
Yeah, right. Sure, the platoon is there, or a platoon potential, but if you're filling a hole, I think Cooper's fine. If you expected him to be the full-time guy until Casas is back, it's not happening anymore. Not with Smith around.
Mm-hmm.
They're both, decent enough hitters. I mean, there's a reason why they were both available, but then there was a reason why they both picked up pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I grabbed Wenceel Perez for 3. Look, I'm actually in dead last place in this league. Not a great look, when you're trying to, hold your own against your colleagues and people looking at you to lead baseball, and you're dead last in the staff league. So I picked up Wenceel Perez, mostly just needing somebody, and they saw he's been batting third lately for the Detroit Tigers. He's got dual eligibility, 24 years old, switch hitter, 3 homers, a couple bags, and again, mostly it's about opportunity, but clearly playing over his head right now with a 171 WRC plus. But do you think he's maybe a guy to pick up?
I mean,
Wenceel Perez.
Yeah, this feeds into my whole. What I've been going through lately is that I understand that if someone's going to pick him up, and I can't wait for proof, right? By that point, it's too late. It's just tough for me to go for these guys without some kind of proof. So I've determined that my factor is going to be opportunity. And like you say, there seems to be an opportunity in Motown for Perez. I don't know. And this is because of another rookie struggling, right? Is it Colt Keith or Colt Keith Colt or Colt or
Colt
Keith? Colt Keith. I don't like making fun of people's names. I just did. So I apologize. This is because Colt Keith is struggling. Mm-hmm. So, is it temporary until Keith gets his act together? Probably. But you know what? Get 3 or 4 weeks, and in 3 or 4 weeks, you'll tell me who you picked up instead.
Yeah, I like that at least Wenceel Perez isn't whiffing a lot. So, he's not really driving the ball all that hard, but he's at least putting bat to ball and decent sprint speed, 24 years old. So we'll see. I've been waiting on Josh Lowe to come back. That's kind of biding time until.
Didn't he have a setback?
Yeah, he came back, joined the team. He was all set to be activated. Then he had a hamstring issue. So it's been one thing after another for Josh Lowe.
Right.
He restarted his rehab assignment last night. Did play last night, but he's just kind of in this holding pattern where, he had an MRI on the hamstring, came back pretty good, but we just don't really know. So plugged in Joey Loperfido, plugged in Wenceel Perez, trying to just accumulate some stats.
So basically, you're telling me every week you're putting a little bit aside for when you have to buy some steak?
Yep. Look, I still actually kind of like my team, but it's just been I have Vladdy, of course, Austin Riley, who's been disappointing, Bregman, who we mentioned. I have all the big slow starters on offense. It's been pretty brutal.
Now, I mean, of course, you want to win every league you're in, but this league you've got the side challenge of just getting in the top half.
Yeah, which is going to be a challenge,
right? But
it sounds like
at least you have that, silver lining or parachute or whatever you want to call it. I mean, we want to get as high as you can, but you've got some reasons to even to get as high. At least you don't have listed. You should have list buying lobsters to contend with.
Jose Miranda picked up for $1. I dropped him last week. I've also been pressing all the wrong buttons in that league. I could probably have used Jose Miranda still. And then he wasn't available in our league, but I just wanted to mention him because he was available in Derek Van Riper's Mocky League. Jacob Young. Where did this come from with Jacob Young going absolutely wild for the Nats? Stealing bags. He's also not hitting for power yet, at least over the fence for power, but 12 steals, batting .306. I mean, I think we can all say that this is pretty fluky, but
is it though?
Mixed league worthy for you?
Are the steals fluky? He had 13 in 13 attempts and what amounts to a quarter of a season last year.
Mm-hmm.
So the question now is playing time. All right, you got Victor Robles in front of you. I know Derek had Victor Robles rostered, but so the point being, I think I don't think you could. If someone said I kind of expected this. I don't think they're just showing off. There was if you squint, you could have seen a pathway. I didn't see the playing time coming into the season, but I think maybe you put him on as a reserve or in a draft and hold, hoping this happened. If that's your narrative, I think it was a good call. I think it was a smart call. Now I have to go back and see if I did that on any team, because I was doing projections, etc. Aware, it's one of those things where if you gave Young half a season's of at bats, his air quote value is wow, that's a lot. So he, geez, I need to recheck that projection. And so that's how he caught my eye doing that. Actually, what I do is I do I think you guys do it too. I do my version of the Steamer 600, where I give everybody 600 plate appearances and run projections. And he was way up there. It's what's going on with this? But looks like he's getting some playing time now. The infield in Washington, don't look now, Louis Garcia is developing. He's what C.J. Abrams did a couple of years ago. Well, not quite the power and speed, but he's developing into what they had hoped. The Nationals had hoped. Now it's the outfield. And Lane Thomas is out. Joey Gallo is out. We just joked about Robles. So it's
Eddie Rosario's played his way out of a regular role.
Yeah. When you've been replaced by Jesse Winker and Nick Senzel, that's not a good thing. And Rosario, he kind of had a good year last year. That kind of surprised me a little bit.
Winker has been really surprising for me this year. He's looked great. It's good for him.
Playing the field.
Yeah, I've been kind of waiting. Well, not kind of. I have been waiting in one league on James Wood, but they seem a little reluctant to call him up right now. I do think he'll be up soon, but that won't necessarily eat into Jacob Young's time. Right field is an open hole right now too.
Right. I think that pretty much Robles is out of the picture, and if Lane Thomas plays when Lane Thomas is healthy, but there's still a pathway for Jacob Young, like you just said, if he continues to play well. And by playing well, he just needs to get a base 30% of the time. And then when he runs, it's he only needs a 300 OBP. I'm not sure where he is at right now, but I do think I don't know how he is defensively either. 351 OBP. I think he's set. I think he's 322 last year. Make sure I'm looking at the right guy here. Yep, Jacob Young. So yeah, of course his slug is 361. Of course. Yeah, but even so,
it'd be nice if he chipped in some power. But those bags, man, those bags are valuable in a roto league for sure. I think I'm shut out now after I missed him last night, but definitely a very interesting player, and maybe a trade or fab later in the year. Maybe I can get a share or two of Jacob Young. Well, real quick, before we move on to two-star pitchers, a couple words from our sponsors here. Finally, baseball is back. The MLB season. This MLB season, knock it out of the park with vivid seats and score great tickets to the biggest games of the year. Every fastball, every home run, and every eye-popping play of your favorite team, live and in person. Plus, with Vivid Seats rewards, you earn rewards with every single purchase. Just buy 10 tickets, then cash in your credit toward your free 11th ticket. Talk about an easy win, and here's a pro reward tip. When buying your tickets for the whole group, split the bill and make progress toward your free 11th ticket even faster. From behind the dugout to the upper deck, Vivid Seats has great tickets for all the 2024 games that matter to you. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, experience it live. See vividseats.com/rewards for terms and conditions. Also, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states across the country. Prize Picks is really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. You just pick more or less on two or more players' stats and watch the winnings roll in. RotoWire actually has an awesome Prize Picks tool, and I was looking at it today. I actually like my guy Joey Loperfido over 0.5 total bases. I like Eugenio Suarez over 0.5 total bases. And the Prize Picks tool, RotoWire, also pointed out Marcus Stroman under 6 strikeouts, which I like as well. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download the app today and use code ROTOPOD for a first deposit match up to $100. That's promo code ROTOPOD for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. We appreciate their sponsorship. And Todd, you want to get into the 2-star pitchers or anything else you want to mention quickly?
Well, we could kill time because there's not that much to talk about in 2-star pitching this week. Now let's get into it. We can we'll make it work. And just like you're saying though, it's Monday and Thursday, a little bit quiet.
Yeah, it's a lot of 5-game weeks. A lot of teams with 2 off days next week. So kind of interesting.
Well, a month of playing baseball, man. You need a break.
I know. I saw Stephen A. Smith talking about how, he couldn't believe Mike Trout. Why can't he stay healthy? Like baseball's an easy game to hold up. I mean, the rigors on the body are just insane. That take always irks me. Like somehow baseball isn't as hard on the body as other sports. Anyway, it's probably like the most
well, it's one of those, it's
maybe football.
It's length, It's an entire season. People don't consider the getting on the buses, getting in the hotel, all the travel, all the crunching into airplanes and everything else. It all adds up. It's not just because you're being smacked by a 280-pound guy or whatever it might be. So anyway.
Yeah, I hear you. And what did Casas describe his injury as? Like a car crash inside the body, and he didn't even make contact on that play. So
right.
It's
well, he's kind of weird anyway.
Tough game. Yeah, he's a strange cat. They'll have to make
in a good way. But anyway.
Well, 2-star pitchers for the week of May 6th, 2024. Use our projected starters page, probable pitchers. You can customize the start date for May 6th. Hit show starters, and Zach Gallen leads it off at Cincinnati, at Baltimore. Kind of a tough 2-step, and I know you and some others here at RotoWire were kind of sounding the alarms on Gallen due to his velocity being down early in the season, and he did leave his last start with a bit of a hamstring injury. I think it was described as a cramp, wasn't it?
I don't know if he had the cramp. There was somebody out there had a cramp. I don't think it was Gausman though.
I think it was it Glasnow who had the cramp?
Yes, it was Glasnow with the cramp.
So it was a hamstring. So I don't really know the extent of this hamstring injury, but either way, hamstring spasms is what it was. Hamstring spasms.
Right. Okay. Yep.
So should be pretty much in the clear, and in the clear for his full pitch count. These matchups aren't the best, but I still think I'm going to go 5 on Gallen.
If he's starting, he's a 5 for me, and you just hope cross your fingers.
Absolutely. No 2-star pitchers for Atlanta, Baltimore, or Boston. They all have 2 off days next week. So yeah, we're flying through this. Justin Steele is on track to return Monday. Got through a bullpen session. He has to get through a bullpen session Saturday. That's his last step.
Yeah.
So on his rehab assignment, he's actually, so he made a start on May 1st, went 3 1/3 innings, struck out 4, only 1 walk, but allowed 3 earned runs against Omaha. So 3 1/3 innings, maybe not completely stretched out. I don't expect, major workload restrictions here. And, this is their opening day starter. They're getting their ace back versus San Diego at Pittsburgh. I think I'm going to go 3, but I could totally see, 4 on this one for Justin.
I think
Steele.
it's normally a 4, but because there could be some pitch restrictions, at least in the first start, I'm going to go 3. Now, he left when he became on the injured list, he was a staff ace. He's coming back as the number 2, though.
Imanaga.
Imanaga, man. Did we talk about it? I forget that the the Cubs set up kind of like a pitchback apparatus for him during the spring for it to aim higher in the zone.
No, I didn't
Like
hear about this.
And it was kind of cool. And apparently it's worked. That four-seamer up in the zone is just, then he's got the splitter like most of the overseas pitchers. Those two different eye levels and keeping hitters off balance. Wow. And did you hear the interview with him and that he said, I don't want to give myself too much credit right now. It's the first time I'm seeing these clubs. Let's see what happens when they see me again. I thought that was a great, nice, humble answer. And probably true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he seems to have a good head on his shoulders and just dominating so far. 0.78 ERA, 5-0.
And coming from someone who doesn't know what he's doing in this area, if you're going to ask a question through an interpreter, keep it short. You know, some of these questions that they ask, be it on the the broadcast or whatever, it's like, come on, just through an interpreter, keep it nice and short. Anyway, what do I know?
Did you end up with Imanaga on any teams? Because I am.
Imano. I don't think I did, unless I have him. I didn't do that many best balls.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing so many best balls to make all this up, but it just didn't work out the last week of the season this year to do a lot of drafting, so I didn't do very many best balls at all. And I thought there was a pathway to some good stuff. So I do not believe I have any Imanaga on my portfolio. And I try to watch it. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. I am shut out on Imanaga, and man, look, you live and you learn, and it's a long season, but it's not off to a great start in most of my leagues. So it's thankfully in Tout Wars I got $500 in Fab Redemption. I could kind of patchwork my team, but in other leagues I'm just sinking like a rock.
I got the note from me from NFBC. There's the second chance leagues are starting.
Yeah, maybe I will have to dabble because it has not been a great start to the season for me in fantasy, but that's just how things go sometimes. We'll get back to the 2-star pitchers here. Reds manager David Bell said that Frankie Montas expected to return when first eligible May 7th or the day after. So it looks like if Montas does return May 7th, he'll line up for 2 versus Arizona at San Francisco. He's a tough guy to trust because he doesn't miss a ton of bats. Coming back from this injury, although it wasn't like a major injury, he just took a comebacker off his arm, and I think it was just a bruise that he sustained, so nothing major. Didn't need a rehab assignment. Let me look again at the matchups. Versus Arizona at San Francisco. I think I'm going to only go 2 on Montas.
Yeah, my issue here is I don't think I would start him if it was just 1. The home game against Arizona. So I need that second game. And how confident are we? We said Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. What if he starts on Wednesday? So I'm going to give it a 2, assuming that we have a little more confidence come Sunday or Monday when you're making your decisions that he's in there. We know now with the off day on Monday. Well, we may know, we may not know. But come Sunday night, I'm going to say 2. But we have to be very confident he's going to make that start.
Speaking of that matchup with Arizona, have you kind of lowered baseline expectations for Corbin Carroll yet? Because 65 WRC plus, 1 homer. I don't know what's going on, but I do think in retrospect, even a month later, probably shouldn't have pushed him up into the first round. Did have 54 bags last year, 25 homers.
My thing with Corbin Carroll, and I may be disagreeing with you on this one, I probably am. I don't think it's the shoulder. Everybody is just assuming that part of the problem with Carroll is the shoulder, and I don't think it is. I just think he's not performing. His numbers against lefties and righties both are less. He's being pitched outside more. It's weird. He's being pitched to his strength, at least according to last year, and he's still not coming through. To me, he's just not coming through. Now, if there's a hidden injury that we don't know about, okay, but I don't think that he would do that. if his shoulder was hurt, I think he'd let us know. I just think he's slumping. So I think he'll rebound. But now we don't know if last year was elevated or if that his baseline. You know, 1 year is not a baseline. So it may be right in that, we should have expectations below last year's numbers. And then steals are steals. If you had 50 last year, you can anywhere from 20 to 80 and kind of be within range. So maybe you're right. And, check out our roundtable. Who had him lowest in the first round amongst us all? That would probably be me.
I guess that's you, yeah.
That would be me. Now, all right, I had him 7th. That's not exactly low, or 8th, or whatever it was, right? It's not exactly, Zola didn't like him. He had him 8th. Well, the 8th is pretty dang high. I just didn't have him 3rd, 4th, or 5th. Anyway, if I have Carroll, all right, I'm not trading for Carroll as a buy low, but I am probably being patient if I have him.
Yeah, I think Jeff Erickson was tweeting a little bit about the second chance league he does. I don't think they call it that necessarily, but it's like the Yahoo friends and family.
Right.
He just drafted late, and I think Carroll still went in like the second round, which seems maybe a little high in light of where we're at right now. But one guy who we know is playing through an injury here is Tristan McKenzie. He had that partially torn UCL. Says he's feeling great, and did bounce back. Has bounced back recently. 7 innings his last time out, but it's been a struggle overall for Tristan McKenzie. 1.48 WHIP. Man, he's versus Detroit at the White Sox. Pretty nice. The partially torn UCL just kind of lingers there as something that you hate, but while he's active, I think you roll him out. I think I'm gonna go 3, but it's a high end 3.
Right. I'm gonna say the same, almost to a T. If he's healthy at the pitch, you are long term. I mean, you look at these matchups, and they should be a 4, if not a 5. But we're saying 3. McKenzie just isn't doing it. Now we have in the chat, going back to our the paper saying trade Carroll for Matt Olson. Absolutely. Olson's numbers are down, but his StatCast is still bleeding. He's just.
I would do that for sure too.
Yeah, no, for sure. And they were. It's not like an outrageous thing to say. They were a round apart, probably in ADP at least. So it's not like, duh, of course make that move. But yeah, no, Olson is definitely due a rebound.
All right, so we're both 3 on McKenzie, right? But what about Logan Allen? He's got same 2-step here versus Detroit.
Gosh,
at the White Sox.
I'm saying he's one of my guys that I liked, and I have him in there, and I shouldn't. And now it's like I should put him on the bench or release him. But now you're giving me these 2 starts. So guess what? What guppy he's going to have, what donkey is going to have him in his lineup this week? Me. 3
of his last 4 starts have been, at Houston, at Atlanta, home against the Yankees.
Stop using logic.
I do expect better days ahead. Let me just look at what his strikeout rate.
I thought it'd be better, and not very good.
No.
A lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Not getting out of jams. I thought it'd be better than he was. Or is, but maybe all right. I'm going to go with you. He's faced tough teams, but good pitchers should be better against tough teams. I mean,
that's true, and I do think maybe the home run rate will regress. It should. I mean, it's 1.7 now, and that's clearly high. But I think I'm actually going to go the same with Allen on McKenzie, even though the results haven't been there. I think if you have Allen, you roll with him, and I might try to pick him up just because I think even though the strikeout rate isn't all that great, I do think he's better than a 5.11 ERA, certainly.
Like I said, I'm using him. I mean, I'll go 3 as well. And I hope I didn't drop him on a couple places I'm mostly where I know I have him in some draft and hold, which I therefore couldn't have dropped him. But yeah. He's someone I'm going to use.
And Dakota Hudson, that's an easy 0. I mean, the Rockies are just a fantasy desert.
It's just interesting to note they have a rare week all at home.
Okay. Actually, there was. Let me look at who was picked up in Stake League because I didn't mention him, but Jordan Beck.
Yeah, Beck
Jordan
just
Beck.
brought up.
Yeah.
But there's some playing time issues, not issues, but it's not guaranteed that he's going to play all the time. The Rockies have got a bit of a logjam, and who knows what they're going to do to break it up. But was it tomorrow? Bailey Falter and Ryan Feltner meet. They were like my two pickups last week, and one was good the first game, one was not so good, but they match up in the second game next tomorrow for the second part of their double dip.
Well, the White Sox
Sunday. Anyway,
the White Sox have hinted that Mike Clevenger will make his next start in the majors, and so we have him penciled in for Tuesday, which lines him up for 2. Mike Soroka also lines up for 2 for these White Sox at Tampa Bay versus Cleveland. Soroka's going to be a 0 for me. Clevenger, probably don't start him this week, but as much as I don't really love the guy's personality and, his history, I may consider picking him up if I'm desperate for an arm. So at Tampa Bay versus Cleveland, I may give Clevenger a 1. I'll give him a 2, but certainly a guy that I would look at if I'm desperate.
You won't get any pushback. Well, you get not any pushback, but you won't have any resistance picking him up from me because I won't be in there. I just don't believe in Clevenger.
That team is so bad too. My goodness.
Yeah, it's ugly. I just not a fan. Forgetting not even with the personality, with the pitching. And I think he was part of my TGFBI team that, so I should have good vibes for him, but I don't. Anyway, I'm going to go 0 on both. Soroka is just proving the narrative that he was lucky when he was good. So now he's not even good.
Yeah, I was kind of pulling for him after those multiple Achilles tears, but it just isn't working for Mike Soroka. Jack Flaherty kind of redefined the revenge game this week.
Didn't he?
Absolutely dominated the Cardinals. He's lines up for 2 at Cleveland versus Houston. Certainly like the way things are trending for Jack Flaherty. And, man, the versus Houston does scare you a little bit.
You know what?
Home, though.
Does it? I mean, it's one of those things where it should, but does it? I mean, the Astros, where are they now? All right, they're getting better. They've now have the 4th best WOBA, but there was a time where it wasn't that high. So, okay, yes, they should scare you again.
Yeah, I mean, Bregman's been off to a rough start. I do think they're going to get going offensively. I know even Jordan Alvarez is in a slump right now. So
yeah,
I think he was like 0 for 17 just the other day.
Yep.
Justin Verlander is back. He's going to the Bronx under the bright lights.
Did we grade Flaherty?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. No. So what do we? I'm going to give him a 4. I think. What say you?
I'm still 3. I'm still going to give him a 3. Yeah.
Okay. Recency bias probably affecting my grade, but he did look awesome. Verlander though at the Yankees at Detroit, one revenge game in there. Although I don't really, think he's looking at revenge, but just looking to do his thing. The veteran. So I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with a 5. I don't see why I'd sit Justin Verlander.
I'm not going to sit him, but I need more than one game to know that the strike. Well, I don't know. I'm going to go 4. I'm still going to go 4.
All right.
And in my head, I'm thinking 3, but I think he deserves the 4.
All right. Got you down. Cole Ragans versus Milwaukee at the Angels. I think he might have had a cramp or spasms or something. Yeah, a cramp in his calf. So he was another guy with a cramp. Doesn't seem. What's that?
Wasn't that like late in the outing? He
still went 6 and 2. Yeah, he still went pretty deep into that 6 2/3. So, he had that one outing that was rough against Baltimore, but he did have a 10-hit outing Yeah, the whip has been a little high, so he has not really lived up completely to ace status. I still think here, home against Milwaukee, then at the Angels, I'm going to still give Cole Ragans a 5.
All right, I'm looking to see. You know what? It's my concern with Ragans was most of his starts last year were on 5 days rest, and I wanted to see what happened when he goes on 4 days rest. So his last 2 starts came on 4 days rest, and he's done just fine. So it's a little early to completely, come to a conclusion. These next 2 starts should be on 4 days rest. So I'll be kind of curious. I'm going to go 5. But right now, the 7-inning start you mentioned was on 5 days of rest. There, air quote should have been better as far as that goes. Just me ran in Baltimore. We're going to talk a lot this year about a team having a bad outing against Baltimore.
Yeah, they are a really stacked offense. And Seth Lugo really has the surface numbers that people were expecting from Cole Ragans. 5-1 with a 1.60 ERA. Same 2-step for him versus Milwaukee at the Angels. I'm still a little skeptical. We've seen Lugo around for a while. His strikeouts have been up in the last couple starts, though. 17 Ks his last 2 starts. 17-4 K to walk over his last 14 innings. Again, I'm not ready to fully buy in, but you've been rolling with him versus Milwaukee at the Angels. I think that's a 4, and you're feeling pretty good about it.
Doesn't it feel a little Michael Wacha-ish?
Yeah, it does, actually.
We're trying to read so much into the, this is the week that 2 years of regression catches up. I'm with you at 4. Interesting, though, 17 strikeouts at Detroit, at Toronto. I mean, it's not as if there's a ton of strikeouts expected. I mean, that's interesting. I want to look into his pitch mix to see if there's something a little bit differently going on. This is more coming from a prop or a betting point of view. So, but I'm starting him in fantasy. But this is where you try to get
tweak things, and add things, and unlock a new level with the strikeouts. I'm not willing to say that quite yet with Lugo, but you never know. Maybe he's tweaked something and can miss a few more bats moving forward. We'll see. Tyler Anderson's been, channeling that 2022 energy.
Doing what they wanted last year, right?
Yeah, and what a 2-step. This is at Pitt, home against KC. KC, maybe not the complete pushover it used to be, but you love getting them at home. Oh, man. Tyler Anderson, I think I'm going to go with 3.
Yeah, I mean, we can put Sandoval in that same kind of boat. I think I'm going to go 3 and 2. I'm still not. Sandoval's been a little disappointing to me.
Yeah, I'm going to only go 1 on Sandoval, but I hear you on a 2. His command is just, it just drives me crazy how he just can't seem to hit his spots.
Maybe you talk about recency bias. I'm thinking about the 10 strikeouts he got in his last game. Maybe that's what. Maybe I'm doing the recency bias because I happen to watch that game against Philly.
Or maybe I'm just sticking to the early season narrative.
Well, that would be the reverse of what we just both did. So anyway, yeah.
Well, Walker Buehler set to be reinstated from the injured list on Monday. So
a little earlier than people thought, right?
Yeah, it's great to see Walker back, and was really looking like he was blossoming into one of the game's elite arms before the injuries. Who knows what we'll get here after the long layoff? It may take him a while to find his stuff, but versus Miami, that's a nice way to start. And then at San Diego, probably going to give him a 4.
Yeah.
Do you think that's too high in his first?
No, I think it's warranted. I think he's a 5 pitcher, and we're backing him off because of workload, and I mean they're good matchups. I think the Padres aren't too scary.
And it looks like Buehler went 5 his last time out at AAA and 4 the start before that. So, I don't think there'd be any major workload restrictions here, right? If he went 5 his last time out at AAA.
Other than just general caution.
Yeah, probably no more than like 80 some.
Yeah, I was going to say general caution in general. That's why we have a delete key in my computer, but not on my microphone. Yeah, so the Padres' WOBA is about league average, but their strikeouts are a little bit below league average, but yeah, it's not a scary offense. The Padres.
The Department of Redundancy department.
There we go.
One of my favorite Stuart Scott lines. Braxton Garrett for Miami. He threw 5 scoreless for AAA Jacksonville on Wednesday, so it looks like he's back. He's been set back by that shoulder this year, but and he had to resume that rehab assignment after a little bit of a setback just recently. But he'll be back at the Dodgers versus Philly. That's a tough way to come back. I think I'm going to go. Actually, I think I'm going to go 0 because that's just too much risk to my ratios. I do think he should remain rostered in most leagues, though.
I agree. I mean, especially because what if he only gets one of those starts? Then
true.
You don't get the home against Philly.
Yeah, you might just get at the Dodgers.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I still like him long term, like you do. So if you've been waiting patiently, wait another week.
Bryce Wilson for the Brewers and Colin Ray, both have been pitching pretty well as far as results go. See, this is one where Bryce Wilson is just not a guy I've really had on my radar, but he went 6 his last time out. Previously he'd been pretty limited.
Exactly. We don't have the excuse, he's an opener. Yeah. He went 6 last time.
But yeah, previously, it looks like they've kind of taken the reins off because it was, mostly, an inning, 2 innings, 3, but then 4 1/3 on April 24th and 6 innings on April 29th. So they're kind of taking the reins off here a little bit.
Yeah, he's not an opener. He's a full-fledged starter.
And with that in mind, at KC versus St. Louis, I'm probably not going to go too high, but I'm going to give Bryce Wilson a 1.
Yeah, I was thinking 1 or 2. Where do I want to go? But I'm going to, Kansas City. I'm going to go 1 as well. Colin Ray, I know he had a good outing last time, but I'm still not. Yeah, I'm still scared that Colin Ray can be just blown up.
Yeah, he had that 3-homer blow up against the Yankees just on April 26th. That's kind of the downside.
And he's still not missing bats, and he's still walking people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go a 1, but I'm gonna go 1 because 1 out of 5 leagues I probably would start him.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I like Bryce Wilson a little more if we're just talking one versus the other, but
yeah,
I'm gonna have them both as 1s myself. For Minnesota, Simeon Woods Richardson. I thought I'd mistaken that first name at first, but he's had some issues with allowing a lot of traffic, but only 3 2/3 against the White Sox of all teams is the last time out. I think I would probably need to see more. I'm going to go 0 on Simeon Woods Richardson.
Yeah, I think I heard him called Simon this week, and I kind of did what? So I think maybe you may have heard that saying, subconsciously heard someone say it, Simon, and that's like, what? I think it is, it's spelled Simeon anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to at Toronto. You know what? There's strikeouts against Seattle. I'm going to go 1. If for whatever reason you need strikeouts, I'm going to go 1 with Richardson.
Okay, and what about Bailey Ober? Same 2-step for him versus Seattle at Toronto for Bailey Ober.
Yeah, can we do the thing about if he didn't have that first start, where he'd be? Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
2.37 ERA with a .76 WHIP.
It's funny, but
8 strikeouts per 9 and a 1.8. I mean, we'd be talking, all great things about Bailey Ober. All right, we say the strikeouts are a little bit down for an ace, but 8 per 9 innings is certainly workable. But you can't, I'll call my commissioners, and I am the commissioner of all places. I will not let whoever has Bailey Ober remove that outing from the standings.
Yeah, it's funny how that one outing will just kind of dominate the narrative for so long with him. And it does, skew his stats, and those all count the same, but Yeah,
I'm going to
everybody has a blow up here and there.
Yeah, I'm
going to happened to come right away at the start of the season where everybody's hyper focused on it.
Right. I'm going to go 4.
Go 4 on Ober. Okay. Yeah, I think that's about right. Okay. Next up, no 2-star pitchers for the Mets because suggested maybe they'll go with a 6-man with Christian Scott in the meantime. We'll see what happens there. Luis Heel versus Houston at Tampa Bay. Heel's been pretty impressive. They occasionally battle some command issues. They did walk 7 in an outing this year, but better in that regard lately. And given some length, missing bats, only 2 hits allowed over 6 1/3 against Baltimore's last time out. Versus Houston at Tampa Bay. I think I'm gonna go 3, but I was feeling 4 for a second, but I think 3 is where I'm going to settle on Luis Heel.
Yeah, I'm looking at 40 strikeouts in 31 innings. I'm thinking, wow, 4. And I'm seeing 20 walks in 31 innings. And yeah, there was that 7-walk game, but they're kind of, I don't know, because he's trending in the right direction. I will definitely say that. Mm-hmm. Even if 7 games if you can be trending in 7 games, Houston and Tampa. Yeah, I'm going to go 3, but I do see a nice little trend.
Teddy J mentioned in the chat just how bad hitting has been. I think the league-wide average is like 239 right now.
BABIP is down, and the fly of it's a fly ball. BABIP.
Fly ball distance is down too, right?
It's down, so that's what it's lessening homers, but it's also lessening hits because there's not as many doubles, and you can align your outfield to cut off the Texas leaguers. So yeah, this baseball is definitely affecting BABIP, and it's not ground ball; it's fly ball.
So did they nerf the ball again? Like,
who knows? I don't know. I mean,
or maybe it's just this batch. They always say that the batches are different.
Yeah. Which crate should I use? How about the one labeled 2019? Because the interesting part is the average exit velocity. Where did I write about this? It may have been in last week's pitching. One of the pieces I wrote recently, I showed the data. The average exit velocity. Yeah, it was in it was the piece before. No, it was this last piece. The one that came out this week. I took a look at this. The average exit velocity on fly balls is the same, but it's traveling 2 feet shorter. And that's the average. Mm-hmm. And you got to figure if that's the average, the balls that hit even further, they're losing more than the 2 feet that the average is losing. It took a long time to say
something. That's a good point. That made a lot of sense. So I thought it was a good point.
Everything doesn't lose 2 feet. The shorter ones lose less. The longer ones lose more, and it averages to 2 feet.
I wish we could just have some consistency with the way the baseball plays. It's been kind of annoying in recent years. And offense just seems to be, really a struggle right now. It always is, but more so this year.
I thought legislating the ship was going to save the game.
Yeah, right. Well, not so much. I do think baseball's in a decent place. All these injuries are really scary.
I'd be more facetious.
And they need to get their television rights stuff figured out.
That is ugly. Right? I mean, I don't know where you are, but I'm not affected by it. So it's like if I didn't read about it, I wouldn't know about it, right? But it is ugly in some places. The Comcast and Valley
so much money comes from those contracts.
Too,
so they need to work that out. Alex Wood for Oakland, that's going to be a 0 for me. Any league where you trying to preserve ratios, I can't roll the dice there.
Yeah, we want it to be higher because Wood's, I'd like to, my favorite line, he pitches well between injuries, but he hasn't done that. We should quickly point out that the A's have a doubleheader this week. Mm-hmm. It's on a Wednesday, so it doesn't affect 2 starts, but they do have a doubleheader this week with Texas.
Real quick, Alan in the chat asked MJ Melendez or Mike Tauchman, which is kind of a tough one. Melendez pretty disappointing.
Not this year. Unless he went on a cold streak. He was actually doing well.
Really? Because I had him in the league. I thought he was really struggling, but maybe I just had the narrative wrong in my own head.
Or maybe I'm wrong, and either that or he has gone into a dip. Oh, yeah, he's dipping. When I looked I looked a while ago because I have him on a strat team. And as of April 19th, he had an 845 OPS.
Yeah,
that was
that's
just a couple weeks ago.
That's down to 600 now.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, since
got the
then,
K rate down a little bit, but aside from the 4 homers, he's done next to nothing.
Clay. In his last 32 plate appearances, 0.032 average, 0.063 on base, and a 0.032 slug.
Yeesh.
So, yeah, I should have looked to, like I said, I have my strat. So I care about next year in Stratomatic. Like, okay, cool, Melendez. Not anymore. Wow.
Yeah, I had him, as a prospect in one keeper league, and I had the catcher eligibility. Now he's lost that, and now he's just really struggling. He's almost like, I might have to look to move on myself. Would you take the chance on Tauchman? Just try to catch lightning in a bottle?
Mean, at this point, I think I have to. I mean, I kind of want to check Melendez's StatCast because he was hitting the ball hard for a while. But I look at Tauchman, and there's pathways to continue the playing time, but there's also a lot going on there with the Cubs that you could see Tauchman losing playing time too. If Pete Crow-Armstrong continues to hit, it could reduce Tauchman's pathway to playing time. Where's Bellinger go when he comes back? If we're talking tomorrow, I want Tauchman, and then we'll figure it out if he does lose playing time. Yeah,
I think you could probably just churn that spot. Maybe pick up Tauchman now. Maybe grab somebody else later. I think say Suzuki will be back at some point. I don't know if it's imminent, but I think he's progressing nicely. So back to 2-star pitchers though. For Philly, no 2-star pitchers for them, which I would assume means that Spencer Turnbull is going to stick around in that rotation.
I took a look at that because doing some work with ESPN and for the weekend and talking with our friend Tristan Cockcroft about that, how we're going to set things up. I think Turnbull's going to stay in the rotation. We kind of, at RotoWire, we kind of have to put someone there. We're able to go to be announced for a little while with ESPN. So that's what they chose over there. I think you want Turnbull in the rotation now. The problem is you want Nola and Wheeler and the number 1 ranked pitcher in April, Ranger Suarez, to keep playing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they're not really hurting in that rotation. Although Taijuan Walker has been rough.
We say that for fantasy. I think the Phillies wouldn't mind Nola and Wheeler getting a little bit stretching up between starts. They've pitched a lot over the past couple of years.
Yeah, we'll see what the Phillies do, and I know Turnbull has not pitched a lot in recent years, but while he's rolling like this, that's a tough move to take him out of that rotation. I know you've been a firm believer in Mitch Keller. Still has an ERA over 5, but versus the Angels, versus the Cubs, where do you land this week on Mitch Keller?
I mean, to me, I'm playing him, but in my head, I'm kind of saying, if he doesn't turn it around this week, I already expected the turnaround. I already expected to be better than he is. He had a game this past week. I had him in DFS, and he was all right. I think he gave up a run early and kind of pushed his way through against Oakland. 7 strikeouts in 5 innings. But even so, 3 earned runs. I don't know. I want more. 7 Ks in each of his last 2 games. Maybe it's turning around. I'm going to give him a 4, but he's not going to end the year where I thought he would end it. That's for sure. Can he, from here on out, can he be the guy I hoped? I think maybe, but I wanted improvement. I didn't want staying the same.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3, but I got you down as a 4 on Keller. Yu Darvish is back. Pitched pretty well against the Reds this week. He's at the Cubs versus the Dodgers. Kind of a tough 2-step here for you. I think I'm going to go 3 here. Is that a little too high? Am I?
No, I think that's about right.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of the name brand there, but facing the Dodgers. But I still think Darvish, he can still get big league hitters out, and he can still turn in some gems, even if the clunkers are a bit more frequent nowadays. Luis Castillo of the Seattle Mariners at the Twins versus Oakland. That's a 5.
Yeah, this is different than it was this morning, which is good because that means we're up on top of things. Because I think initially we thought that Wu would be back Monday or Tuesday, but it looks like we're getting back Wednesday now. There's been an adjustment. Therefore, we don't have to worry about will Wu get 1 or 2 when he comes back. But that's interesting.
Yeah, Wu is a little bit up in the air, but we'll see.
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. Only Castillo. Yeah, no, he's a 5.
Don't know exactly what the Giants are going to do. They call up Dalton Jeffries for a start this week, then they send him back. So right now we have Mason Black in, extremely tentative. I'm going to go 0 there. And now Kyle Harrison's got at Colorado, so I'm going to go tempted to go 0 on 1. I'm going to give Kyle Harrison a 1, though.
I'm staying with the 0 on Harrison. Yeah, and Dalton Jeffries, I believe he actually was the primary pitcher when he came up. So who knows what San Francisco will do. They were one of the better teams using primary pitchers and openers and primary pitchers last year. They were one of the more successful teams. And I know they have a different manager, but it still could be the same philosophy. I'm going to go 0 on both.
Some uncertainty too with the Cardinals rotation. We have Sam Robers in there for Tuesday. No idea about him.
That would be Matt's spot, right?
Yeah, that's right. Matt's is hurt, isn't he?
Yeah.
So that's that's tentative, but we'll see about that. So Matt's is on the IL with a lower back strain. And yeah, Sam Robers would be on regular rest that day at AAA. So that's why we plugged him in. Michaelis, I'm going to go 1, but it's mostly like a points league 1.
No, I agree. With Michaelis, like a knuckleballer, you just don't know. you let the team hit the ball, and if it finds gloves, it finds gloves. So I'm with you on that one.
And Robers 0, right? Until we see something else.
No, he's not like a journeyman. He's only 22, but I don't think he's that great of a prospect, right?
Yeah, it's not a name I'm familiar with.
Yeah, he's not even listed as one of James' prospect or not ranked as a prospect. So, I'm going to go 0 as well.
And Tyler Alexander, I'm going to have to go 0, even though he's got a home matchup against the White Sox. I mean, his ERA is over 5, and then he gets the Yankees. Actually, maybe a 1, another points league 1 for me, but he's not somebody I'd feel good about in a standard roto league.
I agree. I mean, Tampa doesn't let you get crushed usually, so I'll stick with the 1, but I'm not picking him up. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Now, we had a question in the chat about Andrew Heaney. He lines up at Oakland, then at Colorado. Now,
maybe they're just looking for an update on Tim Heaney.
Yeah, I'd like to hear how he's doing. Tim Heaney's a great guy. It actually looks like Andrew Heaney's our last guy because Toronto and Washington both have 2 off days. So Andrew Heaney's our last 2-star pitcher of this week at Oakland, at Colorado. Colorado's so bad that, it is cores, but I still think I'm going to give Heaney a 2, and, he may be on a waterfall or 2 this weekend.
Yeah, don't you almost hope that the second game gets rained out or snowed out?
Yeah.
Is it still too early for snowed out? I'm going to go 1. I don't love the Colorado matchup. Real quick, I know before you give the numbers, I guess Alan wasn't with us when we talked about Christian Scott earlier, in that I personally think that there's a pathway to Scott staying in the rotation, be it a 6-man or if it's Hauser or somebody else. I don't think, we got Peterson coming back. We've got Senga coming back. I think Scott has got a legit chance to stay in the rotation, to answer Alan's question.
I'd like to see him get some run here. Pretty exciting arm, and his success dates back into the spring too. He impressed in spring training with the big club.
Right.
All right, let's recap our 2-star pitcher grades for next week, the week of May 6th, 2024. Zach Gallen's a 5, Justin Steele a 3, Frankie Montas 2, Tristan McKenzie 3, Logan Allen 3, Dakota Hudson 0, Mike Soroka 0, Mike Clevenger, I say 2, Todd 0, Jack Flaherty, I say 4, Todd 3, Justin Verlander, I say 5, Todd 4, Cole Ragans 5, Seth Lugo 4, Tyler Anderson 3, Patrick Sandoval, I say 1, Todd 2, Walker Buehler 4, Braxton Garrett 0, Bryce Wilson 1, Colin Ray 1, Simeon Woods Richardson, I say 0, Todd 1, Bailey Ober 4, Luis Heel 3, Alex Wood 0, Mitch Keller, I say 3, Todd 4, Yu Darvish 3, Luis Castillo 5, Mason Black 0, Kyle Harrison, I say 1, Todd 0, Miles Michaelis 1, Sim Robers 0, Tyler Alexander 1, and Andrew Heaney 2. And Teddy J pointed out that poor Darvish has had the Dodgers like 3 or 4 times already this year. So tough break schedule-wise for Darvish so far. And he also ran into the juggernaut that is the Cincinnati Reds. Pitched okay against them, though.
Who have the number 1 player in fantasy through April.
Man, Ellie's showing that number 1 overall upside. And some people saying 30-80, 40-80. I don't think so.
Eric and I did a first-round draft last weekend. And I think I took Ellie 8th or 9th. He jumped into the first. And for me, it's the steals. I think the average in the home runs, all right, they're what we expected. I think we can legitimately say that he's stealing more than we thought he would. And we thought he would run a lot.
Well, the Reds are running wild as a team.
Aren't they, though?
So that's great. Yeah.
You know that the Mets have given up like 25, the most steals in the league, and they've only caught 1 runner.
Oh.
So Christian Scott will not be getting any help in that regard. And the Rays are running. So if you want some steals this weekend, check out the Rays.
Oh, good idea. Yeah. It's this was a good show, and we're just trying to, hold our own, claw our way back up some standings. At least I am doing okay here and there, but some leagues are just a train wreck. And I have to admit, I don't have Ellie on a single team. Do you this year, Todd?
I do not.
I don't think I was particularly low on him, but I guess I was if I didn't get him anywhere. But I just didn't, too risk averse, I guess. A lot of these youngsters I'm really to go all in on, but De La Cruz and the strikeouts just scared me off. But looks like he's kind of closing the holes in his game on the job.
His average is back. I mean, it was 330. It's down 270 or so. He's been in a slump in that regard, but he's still filling it up with the power and homers and steals. So I think the average is now where we expect it. But like I said, it's the stolen bases, and when you're a second or third round player and you steal 20 more bases than we thought you would, that's why you're in the first round.
Absolutely. Well, we've run a little long, so we'll get out of here, but want to thank you all for being with us. Thank you for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, brought to you by Prize Picks. Use promo code ROTOPOD for a 100% deposit match. Anything else you want to mention today, Todd?
No, I think we're good. I think I got to take my strikeout props and do some Prize Pick work over the weekend.
Nice. We did have a question about Tyler Anderson. We did cover him. He got a 3 from both of us on the 0 to 5 scale. So, thank you all for being with us, and hope you'll join us again next week on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, brought to you by Prize Picks.